Have y'all, that's kind of what it feels like. But they're not pointing at you, not talking about you, other dumb people. No, but I'm for real because I'm on a DraftKings site. Fantasy football is my vice, and they accept and take Bitcoin. So 7 years ago, I was like trying to figure this out, and I'm a savvy internet user, and I couldn't figure it out either. So I'm one of the dumb people too. But so I get when everybody is talking about we got to make this easy for the people. I really get it because it would be awesome if I could understand it better and knew what I was doing. Then I could go into more debt gambling on DraftKings way easier. So help make that happen. My wife will be happy. There we go. So our next group is going to be a summit about, a group by Edan Yago. We're going to have Roc Zacharias, who is LitVM's core contributor. We're going to have Michael Terpin, the godfather of crypto and founder of BitAngels. And we're going to have David Schwartz, a guy that wandered in off the street, and we're going to let sit on the panel. So I'm pretty sure that David Schwartz is responsible for hiring me last year and for bringing me back this year. So I felt like I should be as respectful as possible to him. So that was my love language in complete display there, if you saw that happen. Do y'all need slides or not? Thank you. Anybody need slides? We're not using slides, are we?
I think there should just be one static one.
Okay, cool. Oh, you're the guy. Let's hug it out.
I'm the one who was...
Yeah, your phone went off. Good, you got it corrected though. What'd you do to get it corrected? You turned the alarm off like an adult?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. No, that was awesome. Thank you.
I think we're going to need one additional mic.
There's one in the chair right there. Awesome.
Litecoin has been at the forefront of kind of beating Bitcoin to the chase for well over a decade now. I don't know how many of you know me, but I'm a hardcore Bitcoin maximalist. It's a little bit unusual that I'm at a Litecoin conference. But over the last few years, SegWit, where did that happen first? Litecoin. Lightning Network, where did that happen first? Litecoin. Atomic swaps with HTLCs, where did that happen first? Litecoin. And when Taproot was integrated, it was Litecoin that integrated MWeb and provided privacy, doing something that Bitcoin still hasn't done. Now, a year ago at this conference, it was held in Nashville at the time, but at the Bitcoin conference of last year, the group that I'm part of, a group of Bitcoin maximalists, we did something remarkable. In block 853626, for the first time ever, we verified a ZK proof in Bitcoin. And we showed that it could be done on mainnet. We did it live on stage, and we did it without any fork. And what this allows us to do, and what we've been building over the last year, is an operating system that allows developers to start building smart contracts on Bitcoin, to allow for programmable tokens on Bitcoin, to allow for a degree of privacy in transactions, and to allow for rollups. In fact, we put out a white paper in 2022 about Bitcoin rollups, and since then we've seen a large number of projects sort of follow in our wake trying to build rollups on Bitcoin. But one of the remarkable things that happened, and sort of what brings me as a Bitcoin maximist to the Litecoin conference, is we've been embraced by communities that have been willing to be even more forward-thinking than most Bitcoiners. It started first with Cardano, and now with Litecoin, what we're starting to see is the first implementations of what we've built, which will allow us to have tokens move not just on Bitcoin, but between different UTXO chains trustlessly. For the first time, the ability to port tokens without bridging. For the first time, the ability to have programmability on UTXO chains. It looks like where that is happening is here, which is why we're here today. For well over 2 years, people have been talking about and even supposedly launching rollups on Bitcoin, but not even one yet exists. And so today, I'm glad to be part of a group of people who are helping us do things with our technology that we never expected would be possible. And that's not introduce a new sidechain or introduce a new layer 2 or introduce a new roll-up to Ethereum. Today, LitVM is here to talk about building the first true ZK rollup, not just on Litecoin, but anywhere in the UTXO world. So thank you all for having us, and I look forward to chatting with you guys and with you.
So I think you basically explained 90% of it, Edan. So the importance of this, I'll start with you, and then Roc, and then David, what it means to the Litecoin Foundation. You had described this earlier in conversation as being kind of the first omni-chain. So in other words, you can go in, and the gateway in is Litecoin, but all of a sudden you're going to be able to move, through this ZK rollup into the Bitcoin ecosystem, into the Dogecoin ecosystem, anything that is the original proof of work using UTXO. What are the applications that you see as being first rolled out?
Yeah, so I think there's so many things that we've wanted within the UTXO space. It's almost like for the last 10 years we've been edging ourselves, right? And sort of watching in other ecosystems, they've developed smart contracts, and they've developed things like Tornado Cash for privacy, and they've had more access to stable coins, which are such a key component of what is possible, of what is required to bring payments. And sort of we've been bottlenecked in the UTXO world. So I think the things which are exciting to me personally, and sort of why I started working on this, is I want to be able to use my BTC in ways that haven't been possible. And so now I'll be able to port my BTC to Litecoin and actually have BTC trustlessly on Litecoin. I'll be able to do the same thing with LTC on Bitcoin. The ability to trade, transact, borrow, and lend against my assets without having to go through any centralized intermediary, any middleman. The ability to use tools which are outside of Bitcoin, like the lower cost transactions that are available on Litecoin. MWeb is super exciting. And the fact that this is going to be the first opportunity for me to actually use Bitcoin in a privacy preserving way without having to go through a centralized intermediary, which is defeats the entire purpose. And so I think the big story here is the ability to bring all of the UTXO chains together, sort of create the UTXO bros, and create from Litecoin, Bitcoin, Cardano, Monero, Dogecoin, each with their own communities, effectively a mega chain of the largest, most dedicated communities with by far the largest asset base in all of crypto.
So Roc, you've been early in a lot of innovative platforms, early in Polygon, founder of QuickSwap. How do you see this in the innovation spectrum, and what first appealed to you to say, I'm going to come on as a core contributor?
So I guess, some of us might ask why Litecoin? Why does Litecoin need an L2? I think there's a lot of reasons why, but I would ask, why would we not want this? So Litecoin, thus far, and I've been holding Litecoin since I think 2016, but it just sits in my deep cold storage, and I don't do anything with it. But it would be nice if I could do things with it. And so far, if you wanted to do something with your Litecoin, you would have to go to BlockFi to do borrowing and lending. They're not around anymore. Celsius, Voyager, FTX, these kind of third parties, if you wanted to collateralize your Litecoin and take a loan or do anything else for that matter. So to me, having a programmable, and it's not a L2 in the way we think about L2s normally, because this is native, because this is roll-ups to Litecoin. This, to me, is as native as Lightning Network, to Litecoin or Bitcoin. And I think those are the things that I want to see built in the world. And if we can have things like we were talking earlier about, your will. If you could put your will on chain, so that you don't have to trust, or when you die, it's not just disappeared and goes to the like Satoshi fund, the donation to everyone else. It goes to your kids. We are wanting to do a big focus on RWAs and more advanced payment infrastructure on Litecoin, and this is all possible with what LitVM's doing.
So David, sort of the range of importance of, you've obviously seen a lot of different changes, a lot of different projects, some of which Edan had mentioned. How do you see this rolling out to the Litecoin community, and what are your kind of hopes and dreams for where it can go?
I think the Litecoin community has been ready for this type of thing to come along for quite some time, and I know a lot of them are going to be very excited to hear in what capacity you're going to be able to do these things. And the fact that the hub is LitVM, it rings very strongly with them. It rings strongly with me, and I've been a strong advocate, as have other people in the foundation and in the community, to be able to do smart contracts, on Litecoin, be able to swap between other coins that they own seamlessly, be able to put things into MWeb, which is very critical to the differentiation between Litecoin and so many other chains, and the fact that it's optional just makes it that much more intriguing to people. And so to be able to take all of the things that you can do from a VM in an omni-chain perspective and have that on Litecoin, and to be the first, as you mentioned, I think that's very special. And I think a lot of people are going to embrace that, and there's going to be a lot of projects who may be looking at other chains to be working on and might change their mind and be able to work on a layer 2 that's based off of Litecoin instead, where the transactions are cheap. Everything about it just resonates for a person like me who loves utility, and Charlie and everybody else, where you're talking about real-world assets being put on this, right? So like you're going to have, take a Harrah's, for example, fractionate that out, and people are able to own a piece of Harrah's or a piece of something else because it's a real-world asset, commodities. I mean, the sky's the limit. And I think when you use a transactional cryptocurrency like Litecoin, it makes sense that it be tied to something like this.
I think, probably David and I had a similar experience, because when you are building something for, the most gratifying thing that can happen is to have great entrepreneurs, great builders want to build in it. And, you guys with Litecoin and us with Bitcoin OS. And so, when Roc and LDA sort of reached out to us, it was, I know Roc. I knew Roc only by reputation, right? The guy who built the Polygon ecosystem, the guy who built the QuickSwap ecosystem, the guy who built the Doge chain ecosystem. It's if we're talking about adoption, this is sort of like the missing link. You want to find those people who are able to build adoption. And I think, in my mind, Litecoin has always sort of held up the flag of low-cost, borderless transactions, borderless payments for the everyman. Something that, Bitcoin really hasn't, Bitcoin's too expensive and too limited to do. And I think a missing piece has been having a native economy. You have to, like, if you're going to be doing payments, you need to have an economy in which you're doing payments. And so I think having now the technology, the community, and the components, and someone to lead an effort to sort of build out that economy is very, very exciting.
So Roc,
yeah, what if I may just really quick, what good is having like perfect sound money if you don't have things to do with that money? If you don't have an economy that you could do things in, buy things, build things, invest in things, take loans against. Yeah. By the way, I didn't know that's how you thought of me or knew me. I thought, when I think of you, I think of we would always meet on different spaces, and we would have these crazy philosophical debates, and most of the time it was like, it seemed to be you and me in more alignment, and then like other people on some others, like I don't want to get into block size wars and those kind of fun things, but yeah, we had a lot of good conversations. So I'm really happy that we're working with you guys and Bitcoin OS on this
So Roc, walk us through the roadmap. How long is this going to take, and what are sort of some of the key benchmarks along the next 6 months, 12 months?
So this is still a conversation internally, and so just so everyone understands, so I'm Roc Zacharias. I'm the CEO of Lunar Digital Assets. We're a venture studio. So we incubated Polygon and QuickSwap and stuff in the Cosmos ecosystem. They have a lot of cool technologies, so we are incubating this. I'm also a core contributor on this because I really believe in this. So internally and with all the parties involved. So there's, Michael Terpin is an investor and is going to run the PR for this, and is kind of a legend in that with his involvement in Ethereum launch and Tether launch and all of that. Also, we're quite involved in the first ever token sale, Mastercoin on Bitcoin, and was that 2013?
That was August of 2013. It was a million. There, oh, you go. Some OG fans here. Yeah, it was. They wrote the second Bitcoin white paper, it was called, and basically you had to go and send your Bitcoin instead of the Genesis block. You sent it to the Exodus address. You were leaving Bitcoin and entering Mastercoin. In reality, it was a wallet, But they raised $600,000 on $1 million valuation. All sorts of warnings actually. Have the text that they used in my book, Bitcoin Supercycle, which is available on Amazon. And, basically, J.R. Willett, who's the founder, said, investing in any cryptocurrency is very risky. Investing on something built on top of a cryptocurrency is insanely risky. You should ask your financial advisor, and they will tell you to run for the hills. And it did a 200x in 4 months.
Yeah, I remember we were at a jazz club, you and I and Cindy and Joyce in LA, and I forget what we were talking about. We were talking about some like just OG Ethereum something, and you were like, oh yeah, Vitalik, when he was at his university, asked you to go speak about Bitcoin at his university before Ethereum was ever even thought of.
That's right. And I ran into somebody actually in Toronto at a conference last year who was a student there and said he was so inspired he went out and bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin in 2013 at about $80. I said, that's great. He goes, yeah, unfortunately I kept it on Quadriga, which blew up.
A lot of the stories from those days, Mount Gox, etc.
Which is why it's so important here. There's no Mount Gox, there's no Quadriga involved in this system. It's your keys, your coins, and now you're able to go across multiple systems.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone saw, there was a funny baby video we put out, like this AI animated baby video, and in it, Charlie Lee says, "I want none of this, rap stuff. I want raw coin like raw milk." Baby Charlie Lee. It was funny, but yeah, that was really important to us. The whole core of this is that it's pure ZK rollups. For those who don't know, ZK rollups this is just math and code. It's not like optimistic rollups, which they're cool too, but that's not my thing. I'm not as much of a fan of. Optimistic rollups require, usually, it's a period of time where people can come and contest transactions. So there's these proofs put on the main chain, and then people could come within a week and try to contest if someone cheats. The problem is that there's always this open attack vector of people cheating. That's why on things like Arbitrum and Optimism, you have these 1 week withdrawals, and then you can't have true interoperability between all of those chains, because if one chain's assets are bad and you swap to another chain, one chain can take them all down. Now, there are people building solutions for this, like Polygon has their pessimistic proofs, which we actually will be partially using in this system. And Polygon this will actually be plugged into Polygon also, so that we can have access to all Ethereum liquidity. But this will be a pure ZK rollup to Litecoin, the first of its kind.
What I hope is that in the same way that the changes and the developments that Litecoin proved safe and proved important, right? became like the petri dish where the initial adoption and security could be proven. What this will do is we'll put Litecoin at the forefront again in a way which also then drives that kind of adoption on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We have about a minute and a half left. Any last words from all three of you?
I would like to do a little. So this is our unveil. This is us. We just put out the one teaser this week. This has been under wraps for a long time. This is the unveil, and we're going to be doing a little. It's like what's the movie Inception? This is like Unveilception. So we're going to do another small unveil at the unveil, and that's that. We're welcoming David Schwartz to the team. He'll be supporting. We're still figuring out exactly what, but it'll most likely be something with community governance of the token. And that way, the Litecoin Foundation can kind of, and this is from him individually, not the Litecoin Foundation, just to be clear, but that some representative from the foundation can make sure that the community funds, which is over half of the funds of the project, are community funds, and so that we can have that in a multi-sig and have it protected so that there's no rugging or something like that, and that we can make sure that the funds are spent in community governance in a way that benefits the Litecoin community. So yeah, welcome, David.
Yeah, thank you. Just in layman's terms, I'm keeping my eye on them. So we've had a number of calls over the last few months, and I'm really excited about where this is headed. But I can tell you, to the Litecoin community and to Charlie and everybody else involved, that I stood on the table every single call and basically said, this is, as you put it in the video, there's not going to be any Solana poo-poo going on. And we're really, it's a concentration on utilizing all the best aspects of Litecoin in a utility way that benefits humanity and the community at large, and Litecoin obviously in its inherent value, and obviously anything that you guys are venturing to do on it, but with the twist where there's at least a voice or multiple voices that can make sure that you're hearing exactly what we're thinking. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that, and it's an honor to be a part of what you guys are doing. So,
well, it's an honor to have you, man.
Thank you.
I'll just say, I think this is the beginning, I hope, but I think this is the beginning of something very, very cool, which is that the Rebel Alliance strikes back. We've got the UTXO chains, the OG chains, the chains that have stuck to their principles and their commitments coming together. And I think all of that other stuff is going to, now that we can do everything that they can do, only better, there's no need for anything else.
And a big key here, on that note, on the Rebels is
Revenge of the Empire.
It's not a trap.
Empire Strikes Back. So,
a super key for me here is, I've got my Bitcoin lapel pins and my American flag lapel pin here. So I was there for the Bitcoin block size wars. It was crazy. It was scary at one point. The market cap of both and hash rate of both were almost even. There were companies choosing one over the other. It was really scary times. For me, at the time, I was on the small block side, but I realized later, it wasn't so much that I was a small blocker. It was that I was I think I made this phrase up, but it basically comes from Andreas Antonopoulos' ossification kind of theory or thesis, or his belief that of what should happen to Bitcoin over time is that it should ossify. So I call myself an ossificationist. And the key point there is that, if we do one change to the L1, that then it opens us up to tinkering later and doing more changes. And this is what my biggest concern with Ethereum, and I've built, I've billions of dollars of value on Ethereum, and I love Ethereum, and I hold a lot of it. But I do get concerned when we tinker so much that, we all trust Vitalik, or I do at this time. I think he's a benevolent leader, but what happens when he dies? And BlackRock is scooping up more Ethereum, and it's proof of stake, and they could change things. And I'm not saying, ETH is going to die or anything. I like ETH a lot. I build a lot of stuff on ETH. But I think the right way to do it is to ossify the L1, and that's the path that Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Doge and others have been taking more of that path. And so the key with what we're doing with LitVM is that this requires no change to the L1. We have found a way to scale the L1, bring programmability to the L1 without touching it and tinkering on it.
Thank you all. More to come.
Good job.